Let us join our hearts and our minds in prayer. Eternal Father, Creator, Lord God, we gather before you truly blessed as a profession and as an institution. The world you have given us to have dominion over is truly beautiful for us to see. It is a world worth caring for, a highly complex world, and you have given us minds to better understand it. Help those whom we are here to bring into the ranks of our profession to use these gifts to better things for our fellow man, one patient at a time. May they always strive to learn more, to further develop their talent, skill, and knowledge. Help us all maintain honor and integrity in our professional lives. May we always be committed to serve those who need us, our patients, our communities, our profession, our alma mater. Grace us with your presence, Father, in this service of celebration and recognition of achievement. We would ask you to invoke your blessing on all here assembled. These things we ask in the name of him who sees all, knows all, and loves us anyway. Amen. Members of the class of 2014, members of the Board of Trustees, Alumni Council, distinguished faculty, supportive staff, very proud parents, highly relieved spouses, and our honored guests. Welcome to the 81st Annual Commencement Exercises of Southern College of Optometry. At this time, I would like to ask that any current or former members of the Board of Trustees or Alumni Council who may be present to please stand and be recognized. I know there's at least two. Thank you for being here. I am very pleased to recognize our President Emeritus, Dr. Billy Cochran. And finally, I would like to recognize Faculty Emeriti, Drs. Lisa Rossmeyer-Wade, James Newman, and Richard Hazlett. Ladies and gentlemen, a little less than 4 years ago, I was privileged to welcome this class as SCO president. Today, the members of the class of 2014 become our colleagues. To all assembled here, thank you for joining us in celebrating the transitioning of these outstanding men and women into the ranks of the profession of optometry. Graduation Day is truly a day of great significance, not only for those receiving diplomas and honorary degrees, but for the college and for the profession at large. At this time, Andrew Bradbury, president of the class of 2014, will present the class address.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Welcome again, everyone, to the Cannon Center. Nice new digs, huh? Glad all of you were able to make it out on such a very special day. In the pursuit of honesty, though, I almost accidentally went to our old stomping grounds, Mississippi Boulevard Church, to get out of this whole speaking thing. Continuing that pursuit of honesty, I have another confession to make. I made a promise to myself that if I was ever to find myself in front of a large crowd while wearing a robe and a funny hat, I would have to reference one of my favorite quotes from my favorite series of books. Class, consider this your inspiration. It comes from a man with a long gray beard and half-moon spectacles who spoke behind a podium like this to students much different but very much the same as yourselves. And his quote was this: "It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." I challenge you all to remember that as we graduate here today. We are all graduating with the finest optometric education in the country. Of that, I have no doubt. But what will define you is how you choose to use that knowledge. So in the future, when you are faced with the choice between what is right and what is easy, I hope you choose what is right. Lastly, I want to take a moment to thank all of those who were instrumental in making this exciting new establishment and all the other aspects of graduation week a reality. To my fellow classmates and class officers, who I have relied upon more than any other class president ever has. To the faculty and staff who have shaped and molded us into doctors that we are becoming today. But most importantly, to the family and friends of these graduates behind me. The ones who are with us today and those who are not. Each of you has played a role much larger than you realize. Yes, today is a celebration of our accomplishments, but life is never that simple. The doors we have walked through and the shoulders we have stood on, those were placed there by you, friends and family. The support and love you showed all of us through these last 4 years was unmatched, and that is a debt we can never repay. So for the entire class of 2014, I thank you.
Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "What one has to do usually can be done." Our commencement speaker today has demonstrated the changes we've seen in optometry in the 21st century. On June 18th, 2011, Dr. Dory Carlson became the first woman to serve as president of the American Optometric Association. The glass ceiling was shattered. A resident of Park River, North Dakota, Dr. Carlson was also the first female president of the North Dakota Optometric Association. Dr. Carlson's contributions to our profession include developing the School Readiness Summit, which evolved into a joint statement by 30 different organizations. The statement called for comprehensive eye exams to be the foundation of children's vision care. During her leadership as AOA president, she also traveled to all 20 at the time schools and colleges of optometry on a tour to encourage active AOA membership participation by our students after graduation, a message particularly important for our new graduates here today. She is a 1989 graduate of Pacific University's College of Optometry. She served her residency at the American Lake and Seattle Veterans Administration hospitals. She serves on the board of trustees at her alma mater. Her commitment to optometric education is absolute. She helped organize planned joint meetings of the American Optometric Association Board of Trustees and the Association of Schools and Colleges of Optometry Board of Trustees. She was highly complimentary of our students when she visited our campus, and while coming to our alumni reception at Optometry's meeting, when we announced our Envision Our Progress campaign, Dr. Carlson totally caught me by surprise by presenting us with a generous donation. Her quality leadership was truly affirming for us all to witness. Many in positions of leadership talk the talk. Dory walked the walk and made us all very proud. She serves as an outstanding role model to all ODs. Her enthusiasm and willingness to serve is reflected in her commitment to promoting volunteerism. In fact, we're all indebted to her today for agreeing to deliver our commencement address following the unexpected illness of Dr. Carlson's fellow honorary degree recipient, U.S. Senator John Bozeman. I had already spoken to Dr. Carlson actually all along as possibly providing the address, given the possibility of elected officials having to cancel their plans at the last minute. Dr. Carlson graciously agreed to be ready. Of course, none of us anticipated that emergency surgery would be the reason for his absence. I have heard Dr. Carlson speak on many occasions, and her messages are always well organized, well worded, and heartfelt. In other words, we are in for a treat. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dory Carlson as she delivers our commencement address.
What a wonderful introduction. Thank you. President Phillips, faculty, distinguished guests, new graduates, sorry I have my back to you, family, friends, and colleagues. It is so nice to be back here in Memphis. I was here on a school tour, as Dr. Phillips mentioned, a couple of years ago, and had just an absolutely phenomenal time with the students while I was here. And some of you, I grew up on a farm in Minnesota, and I've always, kind of been interested in farming things. And a friend of mine, who's also an alum from SCO, Dr. Joe Ellis, grew up on a farm, and he had cotton on his farm. So I made him drive me outside of Memphis to go look at a cotton field. So this poor man is standing in a cotton field while I'm taking pictures of him, and he's like, "Dory, really, do we have to do this?" So, and I want to say thank you to Dr. Glenn Steele, who's our host for the weekend. You've been really lucky to have had him as a teacher, and I tease him all the time that just about everybody's been a student. I didn't have that privilege, but he certainly has inspired and influenced me over the years. So, graduation, big day. You've gone through undergrad, you went through the process of getting accepted to graduate school, you took all the classes, you did all the labs, you passed all the tests. You were videotaped while trying to do an exam on one of your professors. And judging by the videos, just managing to get through that experience was pretty amazing. You spent time on your own trying to figure out how to do an eye exam in 2 hours or less. You studied for weeks, took and passed board exams. You probably studied harder than you've ever studied before. Most of you took out loans to pay for school. Some of you were wondering if you'll ever be able to pay back those loans. You laughed, you cried, you were frustrated, you celebrated. How do I know? Because I read it on your Facebook posts. All to get to this day, graduation day. So now what? I recently read a book written by Sheryl Sandberg called Lean In, and she's the COO of Facebook. And you might have seen her on the cover of Time magazine or interviewed by a variety of other magazines because she took a position with Facebook, has a boss that's 13 years younger than her, and has chosen to speak out about women in the workplace. The book is specifically kind of geared towards women, but there's a chapter in there titled, "What Would You Do If You Weren't Afraid?" And that just really resonated with me. What would you do if you weren't afraid? What a great question for all of us in this auditorium, for parents, for friends, for faculty, graduates. It makes you think. I live in North Dakota. It honestly wasn't one of the states I would have said that I was going to reside in if you would have asked me on my graduation day. Instead, I moved to Tacoma, Washington. I did residency there at the American Lake VA. I just married another optometry student who is this cute guy from North Dakota. And since I was from Minnesota and we had family back in those states, we thought someday we might go back to the Midwest, but we really liked the Pacific Northwest. I was fortunate enough to have been offered a position with a glaucoma specialist in Seattle, and we were getting ready to settle in. And then the letter came. It came from a little town in North Dakota who said their optometrist had retired and closed his doors. It read, "We noticed that you have a North Dakota license. Would you be interested in looking at our little town and possibly opening a practice here? Well, that sounded kind of interesting, so we asked for more information. Next thing you know, this little town started sending us the weekly paper. The Methodist pastor drove around in the back of the local plumber's pickup and videotaped the town and sent it to us. They asked if they could fly us out over Thanksgiving to take a look at their little town. They raffled off a 4-foot stuffed raccoon to pay for our airline tickets. How do I know this, you ask? I read about it in the paper. We simply had to check this place out. I mean, wouldn't you? So they convened every business owner in the town to meet us during lunch. They showed us about 500 square feet in the hospital where we could start a practice rent-free for 6 months. We said, well, we'd need hospital privileges, and they said, well, that's no problem. And then the owner of the local newspaper started calling our parents. Could you possibly use your influence to convince your children to move back to the area? After creating a rather lengthy pro and con list, we did. We moved to North Dakota. When I called places to change our address from Seattle to North Dakota, I had extensive conversations with complete strangers. They couldn't understand why we would move to North Dakota from Seattle, and others questioned our intellect for opening a new office in a town of only 1,500 people. They doubted our ability to succeed. So what would you do if you weren't afraid? We opened our office in the basement of the hospital, and to be honest, we really didn't know what we were doing. So we asked for help. We went to the State Association meeting that fall, and through networking at that meeting, we found other optometrists who were willing to help us get our practice started. 3 years later, we bought another office from a retiring doctor 15 miles away. After making those connections with colleagues at the state level, I was asked to serve on a few committees on the State Association. It was interesting work, and I learned a lot and brought that knowledge back to our practice. And for those in the audience who don't know, we are called a legislated profession. Just because these new grads have been taught to do something doesn't mean they're legally allowed to do it. It depends on the laws in the state where he or she practices. When my state decided to enhance their scope of practice to serve our patients better, the association leaders asked me to testify in the legislature because of my experience in the VA system. I said, no way. I was terrified for getting up in front of a group of legislators, and I was terrified of public speaking. So what would you do if you weren't afraid? I don't remember exactly how they did it, but they ended up talking me into it. I'm sure I said no at least a half a dozen times. But in the end, I testified in the legislature, and it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. I knew far more about eyes in my profession than any of those legislators did. And soon after, I had a 5-week-old baby at his very first association board meeting, and I was president of our state association. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we never dreamed we'd be. Sometimes we find strengths about ourselves we never realized we had. By participating in some of these things outside of seeing patients, I realized I took far more back home with me than I was ever asked to give. After being involved in my state association, I was asked to work on some committees at the national level, and ultimately, I decided to run for the AOA Board of Trustees in 2004. I had a couple of things working against me, though. I was a woman, and I was from a very small state with very few delegate votes. Yet, I succeeded, and I was elected. So I ask you again, what would you do if you weren't afraid? You will have stories of your patients and how you changed their lives, and many of you already do. I think that's what makes optometry so fulfilling and gratifying. However, today I challenge you to do something more. You're going to have all kinds of opportunities that will present themselves to you. Some will work out great, others won't. That's true with anything in life. Seize those opportunities. I tell you these stories today to entertain, but also open your eyes to the opportunities you might never have known that ever existed. You will come across colleagues that for one reason or another have become disenchanted. Some will tell you that you won't be successful. Some will tell you that you can't succeed because they didn't. Some will say that you're silly for trying something different. I say they've limited themselves by being frozen in their own fear. Do what scares you. You will be amazed at how much you will grow. So today you are bestowed with the Doctor of Optometry degree. I challenge you to find your passion in this great profession. Dream about where you want to work or what type of practice you would like to be part of. Imagine the type of patient care you'd like to provide. Strive to keep your skills fresh, even years from now. And most of all, keep learning. Don't ever let fear hold you back from achieving all you want out of our profession. It will make you a better person, a better doctor, and ultimately your patients will benefit from everything you've learned. So I'll leave you with one more story of how I truly feel about my colleagues and my profession. We've traveled a lot over the years, and that little guy, now we have 2 sons that are teenagers. And what I used to tell them when we traveled was, when they were little, if you ever get lost, or heaven forbid that something bad should happen to you, find an optometrist. Tell him your parents are optometrists too, and tell them you're in trouble. I know they will help you. That's just the way optometry is. I don't think everybody can say that about their profession, at that kind of profession. So today I welcome each of you into our wonderful profession. Please take good care of it. Congratulations to the class of 2014.
From time to time, the Board of Trustees recognizes individuals who have rendered distinguished service to the profession of optometry and/or the field of visual science by awarding the honorary degree Doctor of Ocular Science. U.S. Senator John Bozeman was raised in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and played football for the Razorbacks before attending SCO. Following his graduation from SCO in 1977, he co-founded a successful private practice in Northwest Arkansas. In 2002, he was elected as the nation's only optometrist in Congress, where he served 5 terms in the United States House of Representatives. In 2012, he was elected to the United States Senate. His public service began on his local school board, and he established the low vision program at the Arkansas School for the Blind in Little Rock. Last fall, he received SCO's Lifetime Achievement Award. Subsequent to the approval by the Board of Trustees of Southern College of Optometry, it is my pleasure to recommend United States Senator John Bozeman for the degree Doctor of Ocular Science.
Upon your recommendation, and by virtue of the authority vested in Southern College of Optometry by the state of Tennessee, I hereby confirm on Senator John N. Bozeman, O.D., the honorary degree Doctor of Ocular Science, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto.
As you now know, Senator Bozeman became seriously ill 2 weeks ago. He is recuperating well, but is unable to join us today. However, he will attend our homecoming activities later this fall to accept this honor. It is my pleasure to accept this award on his behalf. Please join me in wishing him a speedy recovery and a return to his congressional duties. This year, thank you. This year, our second nominee for the degree Doctor of Ocular Science has demonstrated her commitment to the profession of optometry as enumerated in her prior introduction as today's commencement speaker. Dr. Dory Carlson has served on the American Optometric Association's Board of Directors for the past decade, rising to the office of AOA President in 2012. Her passion for children's vision and welfare were instrumental in leading AOA's efforts to see that our youngest patients were being served. The joint statement resulting from the School Readiness Summit was used in the AOA's lobbying efforts to define the essential pediatric vision benefit that is recognized in healthcare reform today. Dr. Carlson, would you please step forward? Subsequent to approval by the Board of Trustees of Southern College of Optometry, it is my pleasure to recommend Dr. Dory M. Carlson for the degree Doctor of Ocular Science.
Upon your recommendation and by virtue of the authority vested in Southern College of Optometry by the state of Tennessee, I hereby confer on Dory M. Carlson, O.D., the honorary degree Doctor of Ocular Science with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto.
Our third honoree is a globally recognized expert in research and development and spent more than 20 years at Alcon Laboratories. Now retired as Vice President for Research and Development for Consumer Alcon Laboratories, Dr. Ralph Stone was responsible for leading the team that developed the OptiFree Express and OptiFree Replenish multi-purpose contact lens disinfecting solutions. At Alcon, Dr. Stone was also instrumental in the development of the liquid enzyme solution and the sustained dry eye treatments. He also served as Director of Lens Care Research and Development at the Wesley Jessen Corporation in the early 1990s. His earlier career at Bausch & Lomb included development of the 1:4 hydrogel contact lens classification system and the Renew multi-purpose contact lens solution. All of these developments have directly impacted and improved the health and comfort of millions of patients worldwide. Dr. Stone holds a PhD in chemistry and has published extensively on his research. In 2005, he received the Donald Corbel Award for Excellence from the American Optometric Association. Dr. Stone, would you please step forward? Subsequent to approval by the Board of Trustees of Southern College of Optometry, it is my pleasure to recommend Dr. Ralph P. Stone for the degree Doctor of Humane Letters.
Upon your recommendation, and by virtue of the authority vested in Southern College of Optometry by the state of Tennessee, I hereby confer on Ralph P. Stone, Ph.D., the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto.
Thank you. While all the members of the graduating class of 2014 have performed in a meritorious manner, successfully completing the optometric curriculum at Southern College of Optometry, and while great pride in these accomplishments should be shared by graduates, family, friends, and distinguished faculty of the college, there are those graduates who have achieved at a distinguished level by which tradition names as a salutatorian and valedictorian of the class. By definition, the salutatorian has achieved the second highest cumulative grade point average and the valedictorian the highest cumulative grade point average during the curriculum at Southern College of Optometry. It is my pleasure to present to you the salutatorian of the graduating class of 2014. Erin Jane Ptolemy, please come forward at this time to receive a plaque engraved in your honor as salutatorian of the class of 2014. It is now my distinct pleasure to announce the valedictorian of the class of 2014. Would Christina Ellen Groshans please come forward at this time to receive a plaque recognizing this honor? You're probably wondering about the cords that all the students, or these last two students, are wearing. I'm going to explain those now. Latinized honors acknowledge outstanding academic achievement while enrolled in the professional program at Southern College of Optometry. And these were earned by many members of the class of 2014. Those graduates having a cumulative grade point average of between 3.4 and 3.59 receive the recognition of graduating cum laude. These individuals are wearing white honor cords designating this honor. Additional members of the class of 2014 are graduating magna cum laude, signifying a cumulative grade point average of between 3.6 and 3.79. Those graduating magna cum laude are wearing the silver honor cords. Students graduating with a cumulative grade point average of at least 3.8 are accorded the honor of graduating summa cum laude. A gold and blue honor cord signifies this distinction. Those graduating with honors will be individually recognized as they are announced to receive their hoods and diplomas. Will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Optometry please rise? Dr. Scott Enser will now come forward and administer the optometric oath. Please remain standing once the oath is completed.
All right, well, that was fun, right? It is my honor and privilege to lead the class in the reciting of the optometric oath. I would also invite the SCO faculty to stand, and any optometrists who are here in the audience to please stand and read along with us. You can find the words to the oath in your program. You ready? With full deliberation, I freely and solemnly pledge that I will practice the art and science of optometry faithfully and conscientiously and to the fullest scope of my competence. I will uphold and honorably promote by example and action the highest standards, ethics, and ideals of my chosen profession and the honor of the degree Doctor of Optometry, which is being granted me. I will provide professional care for those who seek my services with concern, with compassion, and with due regard for their human rights and dignity. I will place the treatment of those who seek my care above personal gain and strive to see that none shall lack for proper care. I will hold as privileged and inviolable all information entrusted to me in confidence by my patients. I will advise my patients fully and honestly of all which may serve to restore, maintain, or enhance their vision and general health. I will strive continuously to broaden my knowledge and skills so that my patients may benefit from all new and efficacious means to enhance the care of human vision. I will share information cordially and unselfishly with my fellow optometrists and other professionals for the benefit of patients and the advancement of human knowledge and welfare. I will do my utmost to serve my community, my country, and humankind as a citizen as well as an optometrist. I hereby commit myself to be steadfast in the performance of this my solemn oath and obligation.
Will the students remain standing, please? And everyone else? President Phillips, upon the recommendation of the faculty of Southern College of Optometry, I present the candidates for the degree Doctor of Optometry. They have pursued their prescribed studies diligently, have passed all required examinations, and have demonstrated commendable proficiency in the art and science of optometry. I therefore recommend that the degree Doctor of Optometry be conferred upon them at this time.
Upon your recommendation and by virtue of the authority vested in Southern College of Optometry by the state of Tennessee, I hereby confer upon those candidates named the degree Doctor of Optometry with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Congratulations. You guys may be seated.
And now for the recipients of the degree Doctor of Optometry. Will the first row of OD candidates rise and come forward to receive their doctoral hood and diploma? Audience, would you please hold your applause until all names are called? Dr. Melissa Elizabeth Agramonte. Dr. Amy Marie Atherton. Dr. Mason James Odima. Dr. Ashley Danielle Ballard. Dr. Joseph Marshall Ballard. Dr. Leah Day Beckman, cum laude. Dr. Emanuela Ann Garcia. Dr. Elise Ann Boyuka, summa cum laude. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Lisa's diploma is Dr. Roman Boyuka, ICO class of 1987, Elise's father. Dr. Robert Andrew Botts. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Andrew's diploma is Dr. Robert E. Botts, SDO class of 1978, Andrew's father. Dr. Andrew William Ingalls Bradbury, cum laude. Dr. Christopher James Bright, magna cum laude. Dr. Dustin Colt Briscoe. Dr. Molly Nicole Broadway. Dr. Michael Wesley Broom. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Michael's diploma is Dr. Paul Wesley Broom, UAB class of 1978, Michael's father. Dr. Savannah Faye Brunt, magna cum laude. Dr. Bradley Allen Bugg. Assisting President Phillip in the awarding of Bradley's diploma is Dr. Allen Bugg, SCO class of 1982, Bradley's father. Dr. Brett James Butterfield, summa cum laude. Dr. Whitney Gale Kanzler. Dr. Carrie Elise Castles. Dr. Samuel David Shadow. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Samuel's diploma are Dr. Steve and Beverly Shadow, PCO class of 1983 and 84, Sam's parents. Dr. Ross Jex Chatwin. Dr. Jinya Jean Chen. Dr. Todd Reed Christensen. Dr. Jeffrey David Coates, cum laude. Dr. Heather Cohen. Dr. Amy Marie Combs. Dr. Michael J. Connell. Dr. Lucas Andrew Cook, magna cum laude. Dr. Matthew Ryan Cox. Dr. James N. Crawford, magna cum laude. Dr. John Brandon Dawson III. Dr. Julie Brewer Dawson, magna cum laude. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Julie's diploma is Dr. Tim Brewer, SCO class of 1985, Julie's father. Dr. John Peter Deshays, magna cum laude. Dr. Alicia Christine Duffy. Dr. Devin Asel Duvall. Dr. Jacqueline Carmen Elizabeth Evans. Dr. Susan Ann Evans, magna cum laude. Dr. Daniel Joseph Foster, cum laude. Dr. Farrell T. Franklin. Dr. Rebecca Nye Garces. Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Galt. Dr. An Mi Young, magna cum laude. Dr. J. Preston Goldstein. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Jay's diploma is Dr. Jeff Goldstein, SCO class of 1976, Jay's father. Dr. Lindsay Brianne Gould, cum laude. Dr. Christina Ellen Grossons, summa cum laude. Dr. Suzanne Elizabeth Gwynn. Dr. Brandon Joseph Hadel, summa cum laude. Dr. Jenna Marie Hall. Dr. Annie Yunji Howe. Dr. Jason R. Harper. Dr. Camry Mack Herndon. Dr. Mary Yong Hong. Dr. Stacy Lee Hoynes, summa cum laude. Dr. Lin B. Hong. Dr. Megan Deller Horton, magna cum laude. Dr. Catherine Grace Hubner. Dr. Blake Leslie Jared. Dr. Bobby Singh Joel. Dr. Kelly Marie Jones. Dr. Crystal Lynn Jones, summa cum laude. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Crystal's diploma are Doctors Tim and Wendy Goldsmith, SEO classes of 1992 and 1991, Crystal's parents. Dr. Micah James Yedis, magna cum laude. Dr. Kyle Allen Casper. Dr. Rajender Kaur. Dr. Navid Kashui. Dr. Aaron Renee Kijeski. Dr. Brian Allen Knight. Dr. Jacqueline Marie Kronlage. Dr. Anna Helen Lammers, magna cum laude. In case you didn't hear that, magna cum laude. Don't cheer too soon. Dr. Keith Michael Levinson. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Keith's diploma is Dr. Howard Levinson, SCO class of 1976, Keith's father. Dr. Stephanie Megan Liu. Dr. Andrew Joseph Loudon, magna cum laude. Dr. John Matthew McDonald, magna cum laude. Dr. Rachel A. Miller, magna cum laude. Dr. Kanan Matthew Montgomery, cum laude. Dr. Lauren Elizabeth Nelson. Dr. Han Wee Nguyen. Dr. Chidema Ugoma Wachiku. Dr. Kimberly Gale Orr, cum laude. Dr. Adrian Elizabeth Pock, cum laude. Dr. Jennifer Lynn Pancoast, cum laude. Dr. Jane Ellen Pansarak. Dr. Meha Jayendra Patel. Dr. Priya Ashvin Patel. Dr. Jordan Max Paul. Dr. Jeanette Nicole Perkins. Dr. Christina T. Fan. Dr. Mallory Elizabeth Phillips, cum laude. Dr. Kristen Marie Peary. Dr. Christopher Mark Pro. Dr. Michael Roy Quackenbush, magna cum laude. Dr. Tyler Sullivan Roberts. Dr. Brandon James Rushing. Dr. Leica Mary Samuel. Dr. Kristen Lee Schick, summa cum laude. Dr. Priya Knighton Sheth. Dr. Jacqueline Gale Short, magna cum laude. Dr. Rachel Ann Siegel. Dr. Brandon Carl Sloan, cum laude. Dr. Emily Lane Smith. Dr. Chelsea Piro Spalding. Dr. Nathan Mark Stair, summa cum laude. Dr. Anne Marie Strong. Dr. Jessica Faith Summerall. Dr. Shannon Dawn Swain. Dr. William L. Tantum. Assisting President Phillips in the awarding of Williams' diploma is Dr. Lloyd Tantum, SCO class of 1978, Williams' father. Dr. Sarah Lily Thompson, summa cum laude. Dr. Erin Jane Ptolemy, summa cum laude. Dr. Ngoc Nguyen Thuy Tran. Dr. Samantha Lynn Triplett, magna cum laude. Magna cum laude. Dr. Ashley Barakalile. Dr. Laura Catherine Burwilst, cum laude. Dr. Ngoc Lan T. Vu, cum laude. Dr. Gloria Wong, cum laude. Dr. Douglas Allen Wright, magna cum laude. And Dr. Robert Adam Young. Please join me in recognizing the class of 2014 for its accomplishment.
Thank you again, all of you, for your attendance today. I know I'm not the only one relieved to finally have that diploma in hand. After the procession, we ask for your patience as the students will be taking their class photo up here on stage. After that, and I think the faculty may agree with me here, they are all yours. Thank you and congratulations again to my fellow classmates and doctors, the class of 2014, y'all.